I've talked to so many travel influencers who actually don't like their job.
Millions of us are broadcasting our lives on social media.
And I know it sounds nuts because you look at their feed and you're like, oh, that dude's stoked on life. Like, he's island hopping every day. He's traveling all the time. He's working with these brands and everything.
Projecting an idea of ourselves that's probably not real.
But when you talk to them in real life, they feel stuck because their entire business, their entire life is built off of social media, and they feel like they're stuck in a lifestyle and a persona that they have to feed.
There were too many things to do, but not enough time to handle any of them.
And all the planning and preparation for a big trip, probably the last thing on your mind is the fact that at some point while you're traveling, you might get a little bit tired of traveling.
And if they don't feed it, they can't pay the bills.
When you see a tweet or an Instagram post from one of your favorite celebrities showing off the good life with a cool outfit, a new beauty product, or a beautiful vacation spot, there's a chance the star has a good reason to tell you about it. Money.
Okay, I'm just gonna say it because no one else will. Being an influencer is overrated. And I have no hate towards people that are influencers because I myself am, I guess you could consider an influencer because I have over 250,000 followers across all platforms. So I don't say it to hate at all. I actually say it because it is not all it's cracked up to be. And there's actually a much better option. And I'm gonna expose what that is towards the end of this video. So definitely stay tuned for that. So I'm gonna expose the behind the scenes of the influencer industry, the stuff that literally no one is talking about, the perfect photos, the insane experiences, the money. I'm covering everything. And like I said, I've been an influencer for the last 4 years, so everything I'm about to talk about is from firsthand experience or conversations I've had with some of my other friends who are also influencers who share some of the same sentiments that I'm about to share in this video. So again, I'm not trying to trash the influencer industry whatsoever. Like, I've had so many incredible, amazing experiences as a result, but what I am sharing is my experience so that you can make an informed decision as to whether this is something you want to spend your life pursuing. And yes, this is something that you will spend your entire waking moments obsessing about. It's not like a normal 9-to-5 job, it's like a 24/7 job. So if that's not something that you want, then stay tuned to the end of the video because I have a better option for you. But let's go ahead and dive in. So before we really get into the nitty-gritty, we have to be on the same page in terms of what is actually an influencer. Because most people think an influencer is just someone who makes a bunch of money, who travels for free, brands send them free stuff all the time, they're just living this epic lifestyle, like no worries, they're happy all the time. And like, to an extent, some of those things are true. But I decided to look up the actual terminology of what an influencer is, and according to the Oxford Dictionary, an influencer is a person with the ability to influence potential buyers of a product or service by promoting or recommending the items on social media, meaning that an influencer's entire business model is based not only on influencing people to follow them, but also influencing people to purchase a product that a brand is paying them to post on their page. So I'll go into the specifics of exactly how this works here in just a sec. But the concept of an influencer is really not new. You know, you got political figures, TV stars, reality TV, athletes, like all these people have been promoting products for a very long time using media, usually TV or radio or something like that. You know, you have PR agencies that will send out writers and journalists to different locations so that they can have these epic experiences, so they can come back and write articles for magazines or newspapers to encourage people to go visit this destination. Like, this has been going on for a while. The only thing that's new is that people are now starting to turn towards social media to use as influencing versus, you know, having to be involved in big business, which means it's more attainable for pretty much anybody than it ever has been before. So you're probably thinking, well, it sounds like the easiest job in the world, right? Like, why wouldn't everyone want to do that? You just get brands to pay for your flights, for your hotel, for your food, for a lot of times they'll pay for excursions, and they'll even pay you on top of it, sometimes between 5 to 30 grand, sometimes even more than that if you have more followers. So you're basically getting a free vacation and you're also getting paid to be there. It seems like the dream lifestyle, right? Like, who wouldn't want to do that? And to a certain extent, that's true, but if you truly want to be successful in this industry, you have to treat it like a job. I've been on some of these influencer trips where they'll invite, you know, me and some other creators and other influencers, all this kind of stuff. And like, some of these people will just go out and party all night. They'll be out till 3 in the morning. They'll come home, they're absolutely trashed. And then they wake up at noon or 1 and they're like, take forever to get ready. And then they barely take any shots. And then, like, you know, by the end of the day, they have like no content and they basically just think that they're on vacation. The brand is paying for them to be on vacation. I don't know. It boggles my mind that people think this, but I guess that's how some people treat it. And guess what? Those people don't get hired again. So I'm the type of guy that when I get hired for a job, and don't get it twisted, when I go on these trips, it is a job. When I get hired for these jobs, I treat it as such, which means that I am very meticulous in terms of getting the brand what they actually need and what's going to convert the best for them. So just to give you a little insight into how that looks, you know, I'm going to have to look at things that what's the best time of day to shoot. Typically it's either sunrise or sunset, golden hour, right? So like I'm have to formulate most of my shots for the story during those times. And you know, maybe sometimes during the day we'll want to get the blue water, so we'll do it more around noon or 1. But a lot of times there's people at the pool, it's harder to work around them and like all that kind of stuff. So like really like organizing the schedule, organizing the logistics. And then sometimes you go and you're supposed to shoot a tropical resort, and there's been times where it's just cloudy for like 4 days straight. And I'm just praying, I'm like, God, can we just have like 10 minutes of sun so I can make this resort look like what it's supposed to look like? Because no one wants to book a hotel that's in a tropical destination where it looks like it's just raining all the time, right? And yeah, you can sky replace to an extent, but videos, you can't really do that. So I'm just like kind of stressing, and like sometimes you just have to completely change the storyline because the weather just didn't cooperate. So there's all this stuff that kind of goes into the photo or the video that you see on your Instagram feed. And then typically what happens is that will take between 12 to 14 hours for a day. So when I'm on an influencer shoot, typically the days are like 12 to 14 hours or so. And that's like mostly shooting, very little break. And at the end of that, sometimes you have like a content deadline, which means that you have to have content from that day available for the brand to review so that they can make sure that it's good. So you'll be up till 1 in the morning editing that content. You'll send it over, make sure that they approve it so that you can post it the next day. And then you wake up at sunrise and you do the same thing over and over again. And I don't want to sound like I'm complaining because I signed up for this and I love it, but this is a job. It's not like I'm just going on vacation for free. It's like I am spending a lot of time doing this work, and again, I love it and I want to get the brand the best results I possibly can. So that's what most people don't see. You know, they'll see the picture, they'll see the video, but they don't see the entire behind the scenes and everything that was involved in creating that. But because it's more accessible to become an influencer than really it ever has been before in the past, more people want to do it. But why? Well, I think the answer is pretty obvious. I mean, you scroll on Instagram or TikTok and you see the perfectly curated galleries, the epic experiences. It looks like the dream lifestyle. And honestly, you do get access to experiences that most people will never get access to in their entire life. Either they'll have to pay an exorbitant amount of money to do it, or it's just really even not attainable for anybody. So I'll just give you an example real quick. I did a shoot for a hotel out in Dominican Republic, and they wanted us to shoot the presidential suite. So like there's content of us in this presidential suite, and it looks like we're just bawling out, but in reality we were there for like 30 minutes, and the entire time we were shooting, we weren't actually enjoying ourselves, we weren't chilling, we weren't doing any of that, we were just shooting, which is again great. We're trying to showcase the amazing places that this resort has, but I'm just trying to shed some light on how that actually looks. Another example is we had this floating taco experience where this guy walked out with his tacos. We had, you know, kind of like a huge spread. It was beautiful, and this is actually something you could buy at the resort, so it's not something that's like unattainable. But we spent the next probably half an hour or so just shooting it, right? Getting as much content, as much videos as we possibly could. Not all of it was stuff we posted, some of it was stuff for the hotel, but regardless, we spent about 30 minutes doing this, and by the time we were done, we tried to eat the tacos and they're freezing cold. Which again, free tacos, like I'm down, I don't care that it's cold, but I just want to kind of drive home the point that the experience that we are actually having is very different than what it looks like we are having on the Instagram feed. But because all you see on your Instagram feed is a awesome floating taco bar and it looks like Nash and Abby are having the greatest time ever, it's easy to get this mentality of like, oh, I wish that was me. And the problem is, it is not real. I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but it's not real. So I'm going to expose in the travel industry at least what happens. I don't know about other industries because I'm not involved in that, but at least in the travel industry, this is what happens. So I know plenty of influencers who you look at their page and you would probably know who they are, number one. Number two, you look at their page and you're like, they're living the life. They're hopping island to island. They're doing all this epic stuff. They're doing an awesome excursion every single day. It looks like they're just stoked on life and having the best experience ever. But when you actually talk to them, they're actually miserable and they feel like they're slaves to their phones. So when you're an influencer, again, your income is based on brands paying to have posts onto your page, which means that you have to maintain a high engagement on your page. And one of the main ways to do that is by posting consistently. So meaning that you have to post content every single day. And that's not like, hey, I'm just going to go out and like take a picture and post it and call it a day. No, like you have to think of the storylines. You have to think of the content. You have to think of trends. Like if there's a trending audio or if there's a trending type of video that allows you to get more reach, like you got to think of all this stuff stuff and be posting almost every single day. Now, on top of that, you got messages. So this isn't just like your friend messaging you. This is like a bunch of random strangers on the internet that are messaging you. And by the way, I love talking to people, but sometimes it does get overwhelming when you have so many just random messages coming in, people asking you questions, people asking you for favors. And then on top of that, you have comments. You post and then you have all the comments that you got to engage with or comment on other people's stuff, which brings me to this concept of engagement pods, which engagement pods are essentially a giant group chat with other influencers, sometimes up to 50, where and I used to do this, I don't really do it anymore, but there's like 50 influencers in a group chat, and every time someone posts, they'll just send it to the group chat and everyone in that group chat goes and comments on it. So when you see people have tons of comments within like minutes, that's a lot of times what happens. But the problem is, because there's 50 people in there, it gets really overwhelming when you have to comment on 50 people's posts every single day. You're getting these notifications throughout the day and it just gets really, really kind of overwhelming. So then on top of the content that you're already posting, you also have to post stories every day. And of course, if you are trying to maintain this image of traveling all the time, you have to kind of like think and fabricate these ideas of like, how can I actually show that I'm doing epic things every single day, even if you're not? Like there's times that people will be in their parents' basement, just somewhere random, not traveling, but they're posting stories of them traveling. So you kind of have to build up this facade of like, this is what I am, this is what I do, because that's what people like. And ultimately this leads to you never being able to take a break. Like I said, this is not a 9-to-5 job. This is a 24/7 job, because people can contact you at any time. And if you're not responding, if you're not being engaged, people start to not like you. People might say things about you, they might just unfollow you, which again kind of decreases your business, because your entire business is based on how many people follow you. And this is the biggest thing that I think pretty much any travel influencer will relate to, but probably most other people won't, is whenever you see an epic vacation, it is not a vacation. It's almost always a work trip. Meaning like you might go to Bora Bora and you're staying in an overwater villa and it looks absolutely sick, but especially if you're living in a place like I'm lucky to live in Hawaii, so I can look like I'm on a trip all the time, but a lot of people don't. And a lot of people live somewhere where it doesn't look epic like that. So they have to spend the entire vacation taking content or taking photos or videos or whatever at this overwater bungalow at other locations to make it look like they're constantly traveling, to make it look like they're constantly having these epic experiences, because maybe they'll go home for a month and they're not doing anything epic, but you still have to keep up that image and maintain that kind of persona. So ultimately this leads to you only showing the best moments of your life, which allows people to think that you live a life that you actually don't. And it actually turns into a vicious cycle. So me personally, I've been the guy that is perfectly curating my Instagram feed. I had the color coordination. I had like the red, blue, green thing. I was coordinating by locations, and I literally would not post a photo if it did not fit in line with that perfect color scheme. And there's been times, especially when I first got started, where it looked like I was traveling every day. It looks like I was doing epic things every day, working with epic hotels, working with the biggest brands. And I'm going to be entirely honest with you, and no one will really tell you this, but a lot of those jobs I did not get paid one dime for. But even worse, the content I created for the brands probably generated them thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. So they are profiting massively off of me creating something for free. And a lot of times I even went out of pocket for it. And this is the story for so many influencers, especially people that are trying to become travel influencers, is they'll pay out of pocket, they'll work for free just to show a lifestyle that they want to live and they want to show other people, but they're not actually making a dime off of it. So let's step back. Now, okay, so you do the trip to Bora Bora, it lasts for 5 days, whatever, you come back, you don't have another trip for a month, you're stuck in Michigan, but you have to make your life look interesting. So what do? Well, you take from the archives, right? Like I did this trip here, I did this trip here. Let's see if I can just curate this feed that makes it look like I'm on a trip all the time. You start posting stories, you really extend out the stories and you only post like 2 a day, so it looks like you're there forever. All kinds of different tactics to just maintain that persona. Or on the flip side, there's influencers that have built their entire following off of travel content, but they're at a position in their life where maybe they want to have a family or whatever it might be, and they don't want to take 30 trips a year or look like they're constantly traveling. But the problem is, because they built their entire business and their following and their income off of this persona of constantly traveling, if they switch up their content, then all of a sudden people aren't interested, their engagement drops, brands don't want to work with them, they don't make any money anymore. So they feel stuck and they're in this trap where they have to maintain a lifestyle that they don't even like just so so they can make money. And that's not just my story. That's like so many influencers. Like, just talk to any influencer and you can probably get something very similar to what I just said. So if that's the case, why do people even want to be influencers in the first place? I know I asked it before, but let's ask it again. Well, mostly it's because of money or fame, but if we really break it down, it's because they want a perfect lifestyle. And like we said, that perfect lifestyle doesn't exist, or at least it doesn't exist long term. So I've talked to so many creators who want to be influencers, not necessarily because they want to be famous or not because they want to make money, but because they think that getting more followers will allow them to work with the bigger brands and allow them to get more jobs, which to an extent that's true. But coming from a guy who has over 100,000 followers on Instagram, I only get about one solid job off of Instagram every 3 to 4 months or so. So that's like 3 or 4 a year. The rest of them I get completely on my own through my own methods, like reach out, networking, my own connections, like all kinds of different things that are separate from social media. So all I have to say, if you're a photographer, a content creator, a videographer that wants to have the travel lifestyle, but you don't want the social aspect of social media of like comments, of DMs, of having to be consistent, of having to do all that kind of stuff, then there's actually a way better way to be creative without the social media aspect. And that is to build a media company. So building a media company incorporates a lot of the same skill sets that you need to be an influencer. Things like photo, video, editing, marketing, identifying trends, all that kind of stuff. But it doesn't require the social rat race and the growth hacking and the constantly being engaged and all that kind of stuff. You can pick and choose the projects you actually want to do. You're not pigeonholed to one specific niche. So like say you do travel stuff now, but 5 years from now, you don't want to do travel stuff anymore. You're not like beholden to only doing travel or else you're just going to lose your entire business and income. Like you can switch it up and it really doesn't matter. Or say you're at a position where you don't even want to shoot at all. Well, you can hire a team to go out and shoot and do the edits and do the sales and do all the stuff for you. And you can kind of just run and manage it. And then you can travel as you want to. So that's actually what I'm currently building myself. It's a media company called Creator Co. And we specifically help resorts and brands, but I'm in the process of building out a team of editors and shooters and people that can actually go make these projects happen without me being heavily involved. So me personally, I'm married and we plan on having kids here in the near future. And I realized that I can't just rely on being a travel influencer to pay my bills for the rest of my life. Because, you know, in 30 years, is that going to be something that's going to sustain me? Probably not. So I need to find a way where I can still have the lifestyle when I want it, but I'm not beholden to only doing that and pigeonholing myself and having my income entirely dependent on it. So if you find yourself in a position where you are constantly trying to grow your Instagram followers, they're not really growing, and you're like, I don't really care about growing this, I just want to have a business where I can do cool stuff, and I'd encourage you to check out the link in the description below, because I have an absolutely 100% free training that details the exact 4 steps that I personally used to build out my media company. And I'm currently teaching other creators just like you to build out their media company aside from Instagram, social media, followers, the whole rat race, the whole DMs, like all that stuff. You don't need it. It's not necessary. I'll show you how to build the systems in that free training. So I would 100% recommend that you check that out below. Also, if you found this video at all helpful or enlightening, I'd recommend that you subscribe to the channel, number 1. But number 2, check out the rest of the videos on my channel, because I got stuff like offer creation, how to reach out to brands, how to run a sales call, like all the stuff that people don't tell you is for free on my channel. So you 100% should subscribe, 100% should watch those videos. Like I've had people DM me and say, dude, that transformed how I viewed the whole content creation industry. And I want that to be you. I love getting messages like that. So definitely check that out. And I hope it transforms your life. But aside from that, I hope you enjoyed this video and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.